With Hook trending after his second AEW match and WWE dealing with COVID cases, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for December 27th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Last month, Von Wagner made his SmackDown debut, standing beside Adam Pearce. It was reported that Vince McMahon felt Pearce needed a bodyguard. Now that he has not been seen on the blue brand in weeks, Ringside News reported that WWE fans were very confused to see Von Wagner show up as Adam Pearce's bodyguard for a week, and they're still waiting for more. You can stop waiting, because that angle is done already. We were told that Vince McMahon didn't like it, so Wagner is 100% on NXT again. While he's back on NXT, it seems apparent that Von Wagner will make his way back to the main roster in the future. Following his release from WWE, Matt Cardona would go on to have matches for AEW, Impact, and Game Changer Wrestling. He's become a deathmatch wrestler in recent times, as he called out a hardcore legend while speaking to Barstool Sports. Mick Foley. That's all I have to say. This guy, you'd think he'd be so proud of me. Fellow Long Islander, fellow deathmatch king, but he's turned his back on me. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if it's that I beat up his son-in-law Frank the Clown. I don't know if he's hot about that. I think he just needs to stop running his mouth. Right before I got released from WWE, my personal writer was Dewey Foley, Mick's son. So if Mick doesn't shut the fuck up, I'm going to have Dewey Foley book me versus Mick Foley in a deathmatch. And of course, I'm going to win. WWE has a tradition of holding a holiday live event at Madison Square Garden. Now with the Omicron variant, the state of New York has implemented new mandates that has taken a toll on ticket sales for WWE's latest show at MSG. A photo posted on Twitter by the Macho Beard shows that there were many seats that had not been filled. WrestleTix reported that the venue had a capacity of 10,480, but only 5,376 seats, or 51% of them, were sold. Happy Corbin recently noted that no one has ever kicked out of his finishing move, the End of Days. Corbin even said that he would rather have no one kick out of his finish than win the WWE title. Speaking out of character, Corbin said that more finishers should be protected in pro wrestling. No one has ever kicked out of the End of Days ever, never letting anybody do it. I've wrestled John Cena at SummerSlam. I've wrestled Roman Reigns and I've held it. This is the one thing. I don't want to kick out of any finishes. I'm a believer in making everything matter, and make the finish especially matter. I want to punch you in the face one time, and if you're going to go down, because if we do it on the street, the same thing is going to happen. When you hit your finish, it's over, said and done. I really kept it tight to my chest. Despite many expecting Kevin Owens to leave for AEW after his WWE contract expired in January, he has recently re-signed with the company. Apparently KO has a reported deal worth $3 million, as Jim Cornette took to his podcast to suggest that this proves there is a war between WWE and AEW. I'm not trying to knock him here. I've always said that Kevin Owens could work and he could talk. It's how he's been booked, which is not his fault. Kevin is getting $2 to $3 million a year, and that indicates two things. One, there is a shortage of talent to begin with. Two, WWE is embarrassed by just having difference makers handed over on a silver platter to the other side. Three, we are back in a promotional war. If Kevin is worth $2 to $3 million a year, then what are they giving Roman Reigns? 15 to 20? They are doing what they started doing 2 years ago, which was upsetting their salary structure, but now they are really upsetting their salary structure because they have to offer more money than they did before to get people to stay. At the Day 1 pay-per-view, Kevin Owens will have a shot at the WWE Championship in a fatal 4-way match against Bobby Lashley, possibly Seth Rollins, and the champion Big E. Speaking of Seth Rollins, he was expected to take part in a match at Day 1 for the WWE title, but it seems those plans are up in the air. On Twitter, Rollins said, "Merry COVID Christmas" to me, which seems to indicate that he has tested positive. He was supposed to face Edge last night, but was not there. This would cause Rollins to trend, with many reacting. One user wrote, "Just a thought. Rollins never said he tested positive. Could just be isolating as a precaution." Another said, "Due to this COVID-19 circumstance, if Seth Rollins didn't manage to make it to the WWE Day 1 pay-per-view, I would be extremely disappointed for Seth, because he was the original #1 contender for the WWE Championship." And another would write, "Hi Seth Rollins, do you really have COVID? Because I want you to be at Day 1 and see you win and be the new WWE Champion. And a happy new year to you. Get blessed." With Rollins possibly having COVID, WWE made sure to pull many of their stars from the most recent holiday tour. Given his history with leukemia, Roman Reigns was also pulled from the tour, as were Becky Lynch and Big E. Dave Meltzer would note that this was done to protect matches for their upcoming pay-per-view. Just to note that not everyone off tonight's WWE shows tested positive. There are people being kept off the shows who haven't tested positive to minimize risk, so the pay-per-view headliners are at less risk of having to miss the event on Saturday. Ohio Valley Wrestling used to be a developmental territory for WWE, as many stars of today cut their teeth before their big break. With many famous alumni like John Cena and Brock Lesnar coming through OVW, their weekly television program has made leaps and bounds. As Mr. Pectacular recently noted on Twitter, "It's so funny. The place where so many successful wrestlers first started, OVW is now bigger and more successful than where they are now. Spread the word." The new OVW reaches more homes than any wrestling TV show except SmackDown, and has many of the world's top superstars. The most prominent channel OVW airs on is YTA, which reaches around 37 million homes, as the show is also on Comcast, Time Warner, and Charter Cable, with this bringing the number up to about 85 million homes. During his time in WWE, Kurt Angle faced many legends of the wrestling business, one of those being The Undertaker. On his podcast, Angle revealed that for a match in Boston, he and the Deadman messed up a spot. It was a wrestling match where Undertaker and I were supposed to do a submission where Undertaker had a leg lock around my neck, and I had him pinned, and they wanted the referee to count the tap out in the pin at the same time, and we messed that up during the show. So we had to wait till afterward and wait for all the crowd to leave the arena, and then we would put in some of the wrestlers and some of the employees in the corner of the arena, so we could do a camera angle and make it look like they were the fans. While many have made it known that Hulk Hogan would use underhanded tactics and backstage politics to keep himself on top, he did help out Goldberg in WCW. Eric Bischoff spoke on his 83 Weeks podcast saying Hogan took Goldberg under his wing. I know for a fact that Hulk Hogan was a very, very big supporter of Bill Goldberg. One of the reasons why I ultimately had such a difficult time with Goldberg was due in no small part to the fact that Hulk was in his ear and essentially guiding him. I understand that you know because Hulk knew that Goldberg was special. He also knew that Goldberg was inexperienced in the wrestling industry, never had been in it. He was still new and unsure of himself in some respects. Not when it came to physicality, he was very confident in himself, and Hulk, I would say, to a degree, under his wing, including getting Bill the same attorney that Hulk had, Henry Halls. And once Henry started managing Bill or representing Bill, things got difficult very fast, and that's in no small part due to Hulk Hogan's influence on Bill Goldberg to help protect him. So this nefarious kind of scheming and planning as it relates to Goldberg, at least by Hulk, I don't think so. I genuinely believe that Hulk would have never manipulated Goldberg into a situation that was not a good situation for Bill. I wouldn't believe that at all. Goldberg has one more match on his WWE contract, with him last appearing at Crown Jewel, where he defeated former WWE champion Bobby Lashley. Earlier this year, Lacey Evans was involved in a feud with Charlotte Flair, where she was romantically involved with Ric Flair. That storyline would be dropped as Evans revealed she was pregnant. On Twitter, a mother uploaded a video of her daughter getting a Lacey Evans action figure for Christmas, as the girl apparently asked when she would be making a return to programming. Evans responded, writing, "Tell her I'm coming." With concerns over COVID regarding WWE's Day 1 pay-per-view, the company is making sure to have a stacked card for tonight's Raw. On Twitter, the company wrote that the Street Profits are ready for Rey and Dominic Mysterio in the finals of the RK Bronament tomorrow night on Raw. The other matches for tonight include Damian Priest versus Dolph Ziggler, Randy Orton versus Otis, AJ Styles versus Omos, Finn Balor versus Austin Theory, and Miz and Maryse's wedding vow renewal ceremony. Staying on the topic of tonight's Raw, PW Insider reported that producers have been affected severely by COVID-19. There are typically 12 producers for an episode of Raw, as there will only be 6 this week. This will apparently lead to the show being rewritten several times. After his in-ring debut, Hook, the son of ECW legend Taz, got a ton of attention online. Now, following his second bout for the promotion, Hook has been trending again. Wrestle Purist posted a GIF from that match, which shows Hook getting hit with a pile driver and getting back to his feet quickly. While some fans saw this as no-selling, Taz replied defending his son. Wait, so the wrestler in the mask no-sold? I think that's the inside term that hasn't been inside for years. The punch by the bigger wrestler without the mask? So that killed the wrestling business, right? Many had something to say about his second AEW match, so here's some of the reactions. Hook can get away with no selling because he's cool as hell, and he's on the come up. I don't know what people are failing to understand about this. Hook can no sell me any day. I better not see indie wrestlers hate on Hook. Like, I don't see you guys hitting springboard drop kicks after getting your leg worked on for 5 minutes. Hook is the biggest draw in AEW. Right now, Hook is the only professional wrestler on the AEW roster. Let me know when he's wrestling and I'll watch. Just don't have him no selling a pile driver, or from someone significantly bigger than he is. Unfortunately, a deathmatch wrestler Marcus Crane passed away at the age of 33. As GCW made this announcement, with sadness, GCW mourns the loss of Marcus Crane. As a performer, Marcus embodied the spirit of GCW. He was an underdog and an outlaw. He was fearless in the ring and determined to succeed against the odds. He played a major role in GCW's early success and was part of the heart and soul of our roster from day one. Marcus was passionate about GCW and deathmatch wrestling. We were proud to have him represent GCW at Korakuen Hall during our inaugural show in Japan. In 2019, Marcus suffered a traumatic brain injury that nearly took his life. We were all inspired, but surprised, as he made a miraculous recovery and worked tirelessly to make his eventual return to the ring. Most recently, Marcus returned home to his family with a commitment to focusing his energy towards a healthier lifestyle. He had celebrated a series of milestones in his sobriety, in which he was proud to show off and left us all excited for the future. As a friend, Marcus was caring and loyal. He was quick to smile or bring a smile to your face. We were all lucky to know him. Rest in peace, Marcus. We will miss you. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.